What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. UFC 285 is finally here. The GOAT, Jon Jones, is finally returning after 3 years. I cannot wait to see what he brings to the heavyweight division. He was a former UFC light heavyweight champion for about a decade. I mean, Jon Jones, he's been at the top over a decade. It's been an amazing run for Jon Jones. It's amazing he's still in the UFC. And I understand he took a far, break, which I think is good for Jon Jones with all the things that they said about him in the past. Yes, all the arrests that's happened in Jon Jones's life, but really what's great about him is what's he overcome all that, and he's going to become heavyweight champion of the world because I do think he's the greatest UFC/MMA fighter that the world has ever seen. I mean, we look at Jon Jones. I mean, he's beaten so many former champions, from Shogun to Rampage to Machida to Rashad Evans to Daniel Cormier, Chael Sonnen. I mean, the list goes on and on. The number of champions that Jon Jones has defeated, the youngest champion ever in UFC history, Jon Jones, most wins. It's amazing what Jon Jones has done. But he's going against a guy named Ciryl Gane. He's 11-1. This dude is a beast. He did lose to Francis Ngannou back in January of 2022. By decision, which he did get outclassed by Francis. But, his most recent fight against Tua, he did knock him out. I think that was in the third round. He threw 110 strikes in that fight. That was amazing. I mean, Ciryl Gane, he does have the tools to compete against Jon Jones, but I think Jon Jones is going to really just have a dominant fashion win here. Just be spectacular in every form, on foot, on the ground, whatever Jon Jones decides to do against Ciryl Gane, that's what's going to happen. I mean, Jon Jones can really do whatever he wants. And then we have the women's flyweight championship, Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, she is a beast. She's been at the top for a very long time as well. She's going against Alexa Grasso. She's 15-3. She's got good hands. She's really quick on her feet. But Valentina, man, she is a dog. She is. She's won 9 straight in a row. Her last loss was against the GOAT. I consider the GOAT in women's fighting of UFC of all time, Amanda Nunes. And that was back in 2017. That was by decision. And really, that fight was really close. It was toe-to-toe. Yes, Amanda Nunes is my GOAT, but Valentina Shevchenko, she's 23-3, a.k.a. the Bullet. And I think she's going to win this fight. Obviously, she's a big favorite. I mean, she's been on a tear. And I think really her best threat is definitely just her stand-up game, how quick she moves. It's crazy. She's like a ninja in there. That. So we got two championship fights. I cannot wait. But I think this guy, his name's Bo Nickal. I do think he's the future of the UFC. I do see him becoming champion one day. I mean, this guy, Bo Nickal, he's a wrestler. He used to wrestle at Penn State University. He's a 3-time national championship champion wrestler. I mean, it's crazy. Bo Nickal, you guys can check him out. If you don't know him yet, you will know this guy. I mean, he's hungry. He's explosive. He's fast. He's quick. And I'm telling you what right now, Bo Nickal, he will be UFC champion one day. I can't believe he hasn't been in the UFC. I mean, he's only had 3 fights. He's 3-0, and I think he's going to win this fight. He's hungry. He's a dog. And right now, I think he's competing at 185. He can even go down to 170 here. He can fight at 170 and even, fight against, Colby Covington, Usman, these type of guys, Chimaev, just all these type of guys that he can compete with. I mean, this dude is an Olympic class wrestler here, and he's got hands and he can throw and he's hungry. So Bo Nickal, I think he's going to be a future champion, future superstar in the UFC. But let's get back to the main fight, Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane. Jon Jones' last fight was February 2020 against Dominic Reyes, and he won by decision, which we looked at Jon Jones and said, man, he is human. Is Jon Jones slipping a little bit? Is his hunger gone? Is his passion for fighting gone after that fight? I mean, we saw Jon Jones, and we were just like, that's just not the Jon Jones that we know. That wasn't the dominating Jon Jones. That wasn't Jon Jones just being out there just dominating. No, he got tagged up against Dominic Reyes back in 2020, and it didn't look good. It really didn't, but ever since then, he hasn't fought. Obviously moving up in weight can be difficult. And Jon Jones even said, it's hard. It's hard to go up in weight. He thought it'd be much easier. He thought it'd take him about 3 months. Little did Jon know, it took him 3 years to get to this spot right here. He's probably about 260 right now. I mean, it's crazy, dude. He's been at the top, like I said, for over a decade now. I mean, dude, Jon Jones, he's just the most gifted fighter we've ever seen, dude. Like, really, Johnny Bones Jones. I mean, I'm telling you, he can do so many different things. He can wrestle you. He can put you against the cage. He can throw elbows. He can throw flying knees. He can do anything he wants in the cage, and I think that's what makes Jon Jones the best fighter that we've ever seen in the UFC octagon. It's crazy, and he'll put on a masterpiece performance this weekend. I truly believe that, and that's why I think all the big whales are definitely throwing in big money on Jon Jones. You know, even the money line, I'd go Jon Jones right now because it's just what Jon Jones has just developed now. He's just a monster, dude. He's a monster, you know, training out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think Jon right now, dude, I think really he's clear-headed. I think he's gone from the past, all the mistakes he's made, you know, all that stuff. What we do know about Jon Jones, even they came out with like steroid use, you know, he proved his innocence. Jon Jones is not a cheater. You know, yes, he did have a past of a few missteps, you know, dealing with, you know, drinking and driving, that stuff. But at the end of the day, Jon Jones is a champion. And what do champions do? They overcome adversity. They overcome setbacks. They overcome bad things that happen in people's lives. I mean, it's just part of life, right? I mean, you have to go through obstacles to get where you want to go. To achieve your goals in life, you got to. And that's what Jon Jones had to go through these obstacles in his life to get to the heavyweight right now, to get where he's at UFC 285, you know, on Saturday. It makes sense for Jon Jones in his fight camp. So I can't wait to see that. Now, Ciryl Gane, you know, I think, yes, he is a great striker, but I even, on feet, I still like Jon Jones. I mean, even though, you know, Ciryl Gane, even though they say he is quicker, maybe even more sharper than Jon Jones on feet, I don't believe it right now. We haven't even seen Jon Jones yet, you know, in 3 years. Yes, there could be rust there, but I still believe in my heart that Jon Jones is going to take this fight to the mat. You know, whether it's the third round or the first round, whatever round Jon decides to get this fight on the ground, I do think he will do that. But I think if Jon Jones is comfortable with standing on his feet against Ciryl Gane, I do that. You know, but the thing I do like about Ciryl Gane is the fight against Tua. I think it was in the second round where he did get tagged up and he fell a couple times. And really, Tua, you know, a couple shots away from taking Ciryl Gane out. And I was looking at Gane thinking, oh, man, he's going to get knocked out. But he overcame that adversity. And that's what you have to do to become a champion. And we saw Ciryl Gane do that. He overcame Tua's, you know, really big storm of just knockout punches that he landed on Ciryl. But he came back. He came back and won the fight, you know, by TKO, and it was great. You know, and that was just September of last year. So I will give Gane a little credit to where it's like, you know, there is no rust there. There's no octagon rust. There's no flow, you know, rust there. So he's going to be clicking on all cylinders. My thing is with Jon Jones is he going to be, you know, firing out the leg kicks, the elbows? Is he going to be, you know, elusive on his feet? Is he going to be explosive? And is he going to be as quick as he was at light heavyweight when Jon only weighed 205? Now he had 50, 60 pounds to him now. Now he doesn't have a six-pack anymore. Now all these things, all these questions about Jon Jones that we're asking ourselves, is it going to become true? Is Jon Jones going to lose? You know, what if Jon Jones loses? You know, what happens to his legacy? Is it going to tarnish it? No, I do think Jon Jones is going to win, you know, by a masterpiece decision or a knockout. One of the two. So that's what's going to happen with Jon Jones. He's going to win by decision or a knockout, and that's how I see this fight going. I see Jon Jones winning every single round, okay, every single second of this fight. That's how confident I am of Jon Jones. That's why I believe in Jon Jones. That's why Jon Jones is beating the most champions, dude. It's crazy, dude. Like, dude, so many champions. You know, in 1 year, he beat Shogun, Lyoto Machida, and I believe Rampage. I think Rampage was the next year, but it's just crazy. Shogun and Lyoto Machida in the same year. And Machida was one of the best strikers the UFC has ever seen. That was back in, like, the 2010, 11 time, about over a decade ago. And now, all of a sudden, now, they want to say these things about Jon Jones, but at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top, and I love Jon Jones in this fight. Whether you're going to go money line on this fight or go, you know, him by knockout in the third round, whatever you do, go Jon Jones. I'm telling you right now, nothing against Ciryl Gane. He's proved to me that he is a legit contender, but we're talking about the GOAT here. We're talking about the greatest of all time of mixed martial arts, and that's Jon Jones. and that's what he does. And he'll find a way. He'll find a weakness. He'll hit you with leg kicks, just like he did with Daniel Cormier. He'll find a way to beat you, and that's what Jon Jones does, and that's why he's the GOAT. So I love Jon Jones in this matchup. So that's my lock pick, is definitely Jon Jones over Ciryl Gane. And then Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. Like I said, I got Valentina in this one. I think she's going to have another masterpiece performance. And my thing is, with Dana White in the UFC, if she wins another masterpiece performance, the Bullet, I do think, why not have that rematch? And I understand they fought in the past, Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko, but I want to see it again. I think the UFC fans want to see it. I mean, they're the top women fighters. You know, at least they bring the most business to the UFC, the most eyes to the UFC. So I think Valentina, she's going to have a masterpiece performance. I think she's going to beat her on her feet, or maybe even try to take this to the ground. But for Alexa Grasso, you know, for her, she's got to have the best fight of her life. She has to. She has to really just extend and just go. She has to be aggressive. She has to take chances in this fight. She's the underdog. She knows this. She's going to have to let her hands go and just hopefully, you know, a couple of shots to Valentina just to open it up and maybe get that knockout. But I still like Valentina either by decision or knockout, one of the two. Same thing with the Jon Jones fight. But I like Valentina. I think she's just more experienced. She's been in more fights here in the UFC, and she's fought, you know, the greats like Amanda Nunes. Even though she lost to her back in 2017, I still like her. I still like Valentina over Alexa Grasso, so I can't wait for that matchup, but I like the Bullet over Alexa Grasso. And then we got, like I said, Bo Nickal. I'm telling you what, he's the future of the UFC, this cat. I'm telling you, he's hungry, he's ambitious, he's young right now, and I'm telling you, he's letting it go. And the thing is with wrestlers, when they go into martial arts, MMA, the thing is, I think wrestlers have an advantage here because, you know, wrestling, if you just, from a kid, you just wrestled your whole life all the way up until this point, you can teach somebody how to have elite boxing eventually, you know, as the years go on. To whereas, yes, you can teach somebody, you know, great wrestling, but it's not in their DNA. You know, like wrestling is so different, dude, especially in UFC. It's like if true hardcore wrestler is going to get you down, you're done. Like, you can't really do much anymore. He's going to manhandle you. He's going to ground and pound you. All his weight's on you. You're going to get tired. Your flow's going to get a lot slower. Your feet are slower. Your hands are slower and heavier. So I just think, you know, wrestling, if you come up in wrestling to the UFC, I think that's a great transition to where as a striker in the UFC and not a wrestler, it's just harder. It's harder to learn, harder to grasp, just you know, just the flow of it. So I think for Bo, his hands are only going to get better. You know, in his UFC debut, it was a 33-second knockout, and it was one of the things where it was like, holy cow, this guy, he could definitely get his striking a lot better. But Bo Nickal, man, this guy is a dog, dude. He's an animal. He's hungry. And I'm telling you, Dana White, he even said this is the, you know, up and coming, man. This guy is coming hard in the UFC, and he's hungry. I can't wait, dude. I could see him either fighting at 170 or 185, one of the two. He shouldn't go up to light heavyweight 205. He should keep it between 185 and 170. Even 170, I think. 185 is too much. I really do. He looks more like 170. Probably walks around about 180. But I'm telling you, dude, this guy, man, he's a dog. He really is. So I can't wait to see this fight. I think he's going to win by knockout or ground and pound, somewhere in that sort. So I like Bo Nickal. And then we got Cody Garbrandt. Man, this guy, man, I love his story, you know. But the sad thing about Cody is, in the last 6 fights, he's only won 1 fight, dude. He really has. And ever since he lost to TJ Dillashaw a couple years ago, I want to say maybe even 4 years ago, he lost to him back-to-back, and he hasn't really recovered since. He really hasn't, man. And he has that explosiveness, that knockout power. I think he fights at 135. But for Cody, a.k.a. No Love, fighting Trevin Jones, for Cody, he's got to get back in the win column. He's lost so many fights, and really some of these fights that he's lost, it's just like, that's not the Cody that I knew before, dude. The Cody that I knew before was, you know, really cocky fighter, the guy that would point at people, kind of like a mini version of Nate Diaz in a way. But, you know, lately he's been getting caught up, and really his jaw hasn't been lasting as much as I'm used to seeing Cody's jaw last. So this is a huge fight for Cody, and all the pressure's on him because I think, if you're going to continue to lose in the UFC, obviously they're going to release you. I don't want to see Cody get released. I really don't. I'm a fan of him. I think, really he's got to get back in the win column, though. And some of the fights that he lost were just like, wow. Even the TJ Dillashaw fight, and I think that was for the belt. And really, he had TJ Dillashaw on the ropes. Just didn't capitalize and finish it off. So I think he's got to pay attention to detail and just be focused in the octagon. And I'm gonna go with Cody. I think he's gonna win. So I'm gonna take Cody. I'm gonna take Bo Nickel. I'm telling you, the future of the UFC. And then I'm gonna go Valentina. I like her to win, probably by knockout or decision, one of the two. Maybe even submission, but I definitely like Valentina. And then obviously the main event, Jon Jones, a.k.a. the freaking GOAT. He is going to win victorious. He's going to have a masterpiece performance. And people are really going to realize, the next coming generation are going to realize, hey, Jon Jones is still around. It's been 10 plus years, dude. We're talking the UFC, dude. We're talking where people beat the shit out of you for a living, dude. And Jon Jones has lasted this long and still dominating, dude. And still dominating. If he dominates this weekend, which he will, what are they going to say next about Jon Jones? He's really the GOAT of the MMA. I really do believe that. His career's not over. The thing is when he does beat Ciryl Gane, what's next for Jon Jones? I do think hopefully the UFC somehow strikes a deal with Francis Ngannou and says, hey, Francis, you are going to fight Jon Jones for that heavyweight champion, the alpha male belt right here, right now. That's what I want to see. I want to see Dana White and the UFC come together and just, work a business deal. I do think Francis Ngannou needs to come back. Yes, Francis Ngannou wants to go box, Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion, but it's just, dude, that's a different sport, No, Francis isn't really a true boxer, dude. He would get smashed against Tyson Fury. He really would. Yes, Francis has knockout power. So does everybody else. He has a good overhand right. I just think overall, Francis Ngannou somehow has to get back into the UFC because Jon Jones is going to win and dominate. What are they going to say next? So I think, Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones somehow have to come to agreement and get this deal done. Get this fight done with. I'm telling you right now. So I think hopefully that'll happen in the future, but Jon Jones is going to be victorious. The UFC this year, 2023, is going to be great. We got Conor McGregor coming back, dude. I can't wait. Fighting Michael Chandler. They're on the Ultimate Fighter show. I think that's great. I think that's awesome for the UFC, and I think UFC 286 has Usman and Leon Edwards rematching, or maybe that's UFC 287, but they're gonna rematch. So I can't wait for that fight. A lot of big up and coming fights, not just this weekend, but this fall and summer. I can't wait. The UFC, man, Dana White, dude, it's amazing. His story, how he built the UFC up to this moment right now. It's insane. But Jon Jones, the GOAT, will win by knockout. Mark my words. It's the Cloudwood Cab Show. It's UFC 285, baby. Let's go!